Okay, good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Mora. Good evening, Mora.
How many people had a good day? Raise your hand. Okay, how many people had a so-so day? How many people had a bad day? Okay. Yeah, I won't use that one. So this evening we are continuing this series, this wonderful ministry that you have here, the truth that we have on the 8. What is the actual name of the series?
Dating Done Right, the 8 Dating Truths.
Dating Done Right. Okay. So tonight we're going to focus on something related to, I'm going to use the word, I don't really want to use the word dating, but we're going to talk about meeting people and who, friends. What does it mean to consider someone a friend before it's someone that you consider seriously to get to know for the purpose of courtship or marriage. So healthy friendships, healthy courtships. That was actually my title, not, from these guys that wrote the book, so I'll take credit for that. But the rest was, thank you, was adapted from these 2 books, Boundaries in Dating and How to Get a Date Worth Keeping or Your Money Back. That's actually the subtitle of the book. But I didn't like everything they said in those books, so I adapted some things and I really just added some of my own flavor. So you might not agree with everything tonight, but that's okay. Okay, let's see, how does this work? Okay, turn and talk. So it's always good to get your audience involved, so take a minute or 2 now. And if we're going to talk about friends, okay, I want you to take a minute or 2 to share with someone next to you what you value most in a friend. Okay, you want to choose when you think of a friend what you value That's it. It's a real 1 or 2 minutes. So I wanted to show you this quote first, and I skipped over it. One of my favorite verses, especially in preparing for tonight, is this beautiful and very simple verse, which we're going to it's going to be like the thread that ties everything we talk about tonight. A friend, this and another verse, a friend loves at all times, which means a friend is someone who loves, what's another way that we could say that? Is unconditionally. Right? At all times, unconditionally, regardless of the circumstances. Now, all relationships in our life, whatever the nature of the relationship, is an opportunity for self-growth. Whether it's your relationship with your parents, your classmates, your cousins, whoever it is, any relationship, even the people you work with, the people on some level you see repeatedly at the supermarket, any relationship is an opportunity for self-growth and self-improvement. Topping those relationships, especially after sort of the pre-adolescent stage of life, is friends, and friends only it comes on top, but beneath, of course, in most cases, in healthy friendships, and a relationship's spouse. So all relationships in life are opportunities for self-growth and self-discovery and self-improvement, right? And friendship is one of those key relationships. They're all important, but friendship is very, very special, very unique. But to make sure we're on the same page, that's why I wanted to make sure when we say the word friend, we throw that word around a lot. What do you value most in a friend? For the sake of time, I'm going to show you a list, and if you want to comment on something or you have something to add that you discussed in your little turn and talk, then let me know. So we'll look at these. So what values do you expect from a friend? Take a minute. Can you see these or should I read them? I guess for the sake of streaming, I'll just read through them since I'm one of those streamers out there. So 1, desiring the best for you. 2, showing sympathy and empathy. What does that mean? First, just to make sure. What does it mean to show sympathy and empathy for someone?
Not judgmental.
Okay, not judgment. Empathy particularly means not judgmental. Empathy literally means putting yourself in that person's shoes or place. Yeah.
I think empathy could also mean that the person is willing to go through the hardship with you during your time of distress.
Exactly. They're willing to feel the pain if you're feeling the pain. Okay? Yeah.
Like sympathy is sympathy is somebody who can feel sorry for you. Empathy is someone who can share the sorrow with you, the same sorrow. Yeah.
Beautifully put. Yes, very good. Okay, what else do we expect? This I heard going around a lot from both sides of the room. Honesty, and of course I put here, importantly, even when it hurts. Okay? A true friend is someone who tells you what you want to hear, and they tell you the stuff you probably don't want to hear. That's what makes them a real friend. Mutual understanding and support. Enjoy each other's company. Trust in one another. Again, trust was a big one that I heard coming out. This one's important. We could talk about each of these for a while, so maybe another time, but equal give and take is really critical. Equal give and take means balance. One person's not always putting in the effort, okay? And that could be on a number of different levels. Positive emotional support, careful listening, sharing openly, which kind of goes into honesty, but sharing openly, being willing to share, being willing to speak about certain things and not putting up a guard or hiding the truth. Vulnerability, this one is key. And this one's going to tie into our topic tonight a lot. And loyalty, which is also important. Just going back to vulnerability though, what does it mean to be vulnerable? Because this is going to be very important.
Isn't that like being open?
Yeah, open, but more than open. Like, what does it mean if I'm vulnerable with my friend? Yeah. What's your name?
Serene.
Okay, Serene, what does it mean?
Well, I kind of, before I get into what I kind of don't agree with it.
Okay.
Because when you're vulnerable, you just give people opportunity to step all over you. So even in a friendship, just I don't think vulnerable is the right answer.
So for you, the word vulnerable has like a negative twist. Okay, is there a different word that you would use to maybe get at what you think I'm trying to get at?
Just open?
Transparent and open?
Transparent.
Not transparent, open. Okay. Okay, I see where you're coming from. I see where you're coming from. Yeah.
I mean, unless you're hiding that you're like a murderer or something, I think vulnerability goes back down to how strong your personality is, sort of, kind of. And wouldn't it like be different between friend or best friend too?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even think of using the word best friend, to be honest. When I'm talking about friend here, I'm really defining it in a very, very like serious way. Friend, not in a casual way, not in an acquaintance, but like a true friend where you only have a few, where it's the one that loves at all times. So yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, if it was a true friend, I don't think he would use it against you. Like, he might actually use it to make you better. And so, in most cases, people open up to their friends more than, let's say, their parents, or maybe in some cases their spouses. Or so I think it's an important trait in a relationship with your friends, like specifically a true friend.
Mm-hmm. So I really agree with Mike, but that's okay. There's going to be a couple of slides. I guarantee you're not all going to agree with me. I can tell you right now. And that's okay. But I do agree with Michael, and the reason I agree is because I feel that to be vulnerable means I'm willing to expose my weaknesses. I'm willing to like fail in front of this person. Like if I'm a failure and it shows, it doesn't mean I'm not embarrassed. It doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt, that it's not painful, but it means I'm willing to have that failure in front of that person, because there is trust and mutual understanding and openness and loyalty and all those other pieces that I know, going back to the very first thing, that person desires the best for me. And that in the same vein, they're not going to use it against me, but they really genuinely have the best for me. And actually, just going one step further, I would say that if there is something in a friendship that I think it's a friendship, so I'm going to call it that, and yet I feel something that restricts me from being all of these things, and particularly from being vulnerable and just being totally myself, 100%, then I would challenge that I need to think about what might be going on internally within myself. What kind of internal conflicts or external conflicts have I not resolved that make it difficult for me to be totally myself with you? So for example, if I can't be totally vulnerable and show you like my weakness in this particular area, maybe I'm afraid of rejection, or maybe I'm, what was my other example? Maybe I have a control issue where I can't allow my imperfections to be revealed. So I guess I would say if there's an issue there, a question could be to look internally. And you're gonna find like in a lot of what we talk about today, the whole like dating and friends, a lot of it actually comes right back to me and where I'm at and what work I need to do within myself. So we're gonna get to some of this, so we're gonna move on. But I wanna leave room for definitely questions. And actually this next verse kind of just brings together what we were just talking about, which is, again, from Proverbs. There is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. This verse is pretty powerful. A friend who sticks closer than a brother. Like your brother or your sister comes, unless they're adopted or whatever else, they're coming from the same womb, from the same flesh. Like that's tight. You always say people don't know you unless they're in your family. Like they really live with you and they understand you. But this says a friend sticks closer than a brother. So I'm going to give an example. I don't even know if it's totally relevant, but I'm going to share it because it's about my son, and I feel like I want to share it. So I'm going to. So Joseph has been going through a phase, and it's a really difficult one. But I will say, a couple of nights ago, he's in this phase where he says really mean things and does really mean things. And obviously, he's 3 years old. He totally doesn't mean it, and it's not a personal thing. But it still hurts, when he says those things. So the other night I came home from work, and I'm really only with them for a short period when I come home, but I have to, try to follow through with discipline. And something happened, and I needed to discipline him, and eventually I had to take him down to his room, and he was flailing or whatever, and throwing, and he wouldn't just he could not calm himself down. He was like totally a mess. And he didn't say, I don't like you, you're yucky. If you see him, if those of you coming next week for the birthday, I don't like you, you go away, you're yucky. I mean, it's like a mantra. He says the same things over and over. So he's saying these things, and he can't calm himself down. So something in my motherly instincts like, hold him. Just hold him and see what happens. And I held him, and as soon as I held him, his body completely began to calm down and relax. And now I'm holding him, and he's still saying, I don't like you, get away. But he's clinging to me, and when I try to put him down, he won't let go, and he's hugging me, so I felt in that moment this like conflict of like, even when I feel like I don't like you, and even when I feel like I want you to go away, I cling to you because I stick to you, because that's how deep my love for you is. Because that's exactly what was happening. And when that moment happened, I thought of the talk today, and I thought of this verse: a friend sticks closer than a brother. And I'm not qualifying now siblings. I'm just saying it's that sticking. It's that like, I'm there with you all the way through. So that's how we're gonna think of friend as we talk tonight. So I want you to take another minute, and I want you to honestly just take a minute to dialogue about this question. Can a single guy and a single girl who are of marriage age, I'll leave that for you to define in your own mature circles, really just be very good friends? And I would say even one-on-one. Okay, I probably could have added that, but can a single guy and a single girl, say in their mid-20s, whatever it might be, can they really just be very good friends? Explain why or why not. So take a minute and, just reflect, and if you want to share with someone next to you, go ahead. Okay, wrap it up. Okay, guys and girls, we would like to hear from a couple of you about your thoughts. Can a single guy and a single girl of marriage age really just be very good friends, even one-on-one? Explain why or why not. Pagnoti, your thoughts?
I think if you're really good friends, that means you have like some sort of personality attraction, and eventually that'll lead. Whether you don't even if you don't have any physical attraction, eventually it'll lead you to fall for that person.
Okay, we'll get back to some of what you just said. Okay, someone else.
No. I mean, yes.
What?
Yes.
Guess what?
You can absolutely be good friends even though you're at that marriage age. Because if you're good friends, even if you have like the slightest attraction for this person, your good friendship is gonna just overcome all of that. And
Even one-on-one? Okay, let's listen. I told you we don't all have to agree tonight. We just need to listen to each other. Okay, I'm gonna listen to Danny, and then Kiro, Makar, and then Michael. Okay, Danny first.
I feel that if you're already good
Hold on. We need everyone's attention.
I feel that if you're already good friends with the girl, then you've been friends even before you reach the whole I'll fall for you's age. But a lot of times, if you're just starting a friendship at that age, you need to question why you started that friendship at that age. Because if you aim to get close to a girl at that age just to be as a friend, then even there might be a subconscious thing that's like, oh well, this is wifey material, so let's go. So let's go.
They like the wife part.
Let the man talk.
No, so I think let me just make sure. So you're saying if you have a friend that you've known, say, so we're using specifics and we're not being too hypothetical. If you know someone since you're 12 years old and you happen to grow old together, now you're really good friends and you're 24, 25, maybe maybe 30, whatever it might be, then that's a different case
Then if you just
than if
started-
you start to get to know them at 23, 24, 25. And you're saying even if you've grown up together and you become very good friends and you stay very good friends in those mid-20s and 30s, that you could still just be very good friends as long as the friendship started early?
Yeah.
That's what you're saying? Okay, so that's a totally different perspective than the other two we heard. Thank you. Yeah, Bishoy.
I think we should look at the title of the page. Is the friendship worth it? Because let's say
He's so perceptive.
because let's say let's say I'm very good friends with a woman and it's entirely platonic. Like, you know, we're just good friends, we like to talk, we enjoy talking. I'm not attracted to her, we've been friends for years. I find another woman, we get married. Is she gonna be cool with that relationship? No, I wouldn't be cool with a woman who was that close with another guy. That's a kind of a relationship, being very good friends, and the friends that we like, the way that we define friends. I think that
Hold on,
that
guys.
should be that should be for a man and his wife.
Okay. Wait, hold on. We had, yeah.
I have
apologize.
two things to say.
Okay.
One is like what we discussed.
We still have a long way to go.
Yeah. One is what we discussed, and then there was another thing that a few of the groups actually spoke about. So what we discussed was Ali said something kind of similar to what Danny was saying, which is that like over time there would be like thoughts that, you know, like between the guy and the girl, and I do see the same thing, and I said that in the for guys, they could be good friends with the girl if there's like really zero physical, like almost no physical attraction. Right? Yeah. Okay. But for the girl, she would like because physical attraction isn't like as much of a priority as it is for guys, or it's just doesn't have the same weight as it does for guys. Then for her, the emotional connection in a friendship might be so strong that it's really hard to believe that she wouldn't have feelings. Okay, that was the first thing. The second thing is that actually another group spoke
Wait, did
about.
everyone get that? Because that's like really key, and it talks about the differences between guys and girls. So okay, if I'm understanding correctly, I think you're saying like in a really good friendship, it could be that if the guy has absolutely no attraction to the girl, possibly he really just does see her as a friend and really has nothing else. But in that case, a woman or a girl may be attracted to the guy emotionally. So from her end, there might be something more going on. There may be more likely something from her end going on,
Yeah.
which means it's not totally platonic, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. And then the other thing was that there was a video that asked this question on YouTube, and the guy went around in his university and asked this question. All the girls, it was so clear, by the way, one by one, every single woman said a guy and girl can be friends, whatever. And then every time they would ask the guy would be like, wait, hold on a second. So are you saying like close friends or really close friends, whatever? And then they went back to the girls, and then they asked them, well, do you think that any of the guy friends that you have ever liked you? And then all of a sudden they hesitated and they said, yeah, maybe they did. So we asked this question to a bunch of Coptic youth on the Passion Retreat, and everybody gave us a different answer. Everybody. I'm telling you, there was only one guy. There was one guy, and we couldn't. This guy was an ultra exception who said, "Yeah, I have two best friends who are girls, whatever." And the story goes on, but we just have a conflicted culture.
Okay, last comment from Michael, and then we're going to move on, because hopefully by the end of this, we'll answer some questions, and then we'll have a dialogue after I've shared everything I have. So, yeah.
He said everything else.
Oh. Okay.
It's telepathy.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that Bishoy, you noticed the title. I kind of forgot I put some of these titles there. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be a key question we come back to tonight, because if part of the dialogue tonight is ideally you want to eventually end up sharing your life with someone you would call your friend, but then if we talk about the idea of, well, we're already friends, do I want to risk turning this into something else? Is it worth it? Because what if I lose a friend? And some other questions that may come up, right? So that's key. That's a key question that we're gonna explore as we come back. So Makar brought something up. The physical attraction versus other kinds of attraction. Connection emotionally, personality, sense of humor, spiritually. There's so many levels where you can connect with someone. Okay, physical is just one level, but it's obviously, for many of the times, it's the first way you notice someone. I mean, let's be real, right? You notice someone because they catch your eye. But this title, my titles are intentional. Attraction is really not everything. In fact, if you ask any married couple who's been married for at least a few years, they will tell that most people will agree that attraction wears off. It is not enough. Attraction is not enough to sustain a marriage. Notice what I said. I didn't say attraction is not enough to propel a marriage. It is, and it happens. People get married based on infatuation, based on attraction, based on love, based on lust, based on whatever you want to call it. But it does not sustain a marriage. And that's it's really hard when you're not married and when you're not in a relationship to like embrace that, because there's this anxiety about, but I just got to find him. I just got to figure it out. But you really have to embrace that, feeling physically attracted to someone or feeling attracted to them on one level is not enough to sustain a marriage, much less a family. So charm is deceitful and beauty is passing. But a woman, or I would venture to say a man who fears the Lord, should be praised. In fact, okay, so the next thing some of us might say is, well, two things I wanted to mention on this slide. And some people might say, well, all of the nice guys are not attractive. And all of the attractive guys are not really that nice. In general, right? Well, I want to say something else. Okay, that was like a total generalization, and I didn't mean to be like raw, but like I was. I'm not saying all. Okay, in general, many of the nice, kind, sweet, tender-hearted men are not always the most attractive. And the most attractive men are not always the kindest, sweetest, gentlest, most tender-hearted. It's a generalization. It's not a truth. But again, it is a perception. So if that's what I believe, and that's what I've decided is true, then that's how I'm going to view each person I come in contact with. Okay. Furthermore, and I think every one of us can think of this, put marriage, relationships, and everything else aside. How many of us know someone, please do not use names, because I personally know someone, who's very close to me in my life. They are not the most attractive person in the world, but let me tell you, their personality makes them literally appear to me to be so attractive. Do you guys know someone whose personality is so beautiful that even if physically they don't have like the perfect features, they just appeal to you? You're drawn to them? Does anyone feel that way about someone? You can look at it the other way too. It's the same way as when you know someone, and again, I think every single person in this room should be able to think of an example of someone who really doesn't have the best personality. They're not really the kindest, sweetest person in the whole world. They're not the most patient. But yeah, you know what? They know how to look good. But really, it's like almost that their good looks dissipate. Like you almost like don't think they're as attractive because of their personality. That's a truth. And that truth only becomes more of a reality over time. Not just with aging, but also with experience with that person. Okay? If I wasn't being streamed, I'd say something, but I won't. So yeah. The other thing I was gonna say is, oh yeah, this is so true. I think it's true. People are attracted to authenticity. And people are attracted to a person who's real. When you talk to someone and you feel like you're talking to someone who's real, they're not fake, they're not putting on a show, they're not guarded. I'm not saying they're totally open and they're like, sharing their life, but someone who just seems really real and passionate about the things that are important to them and they have a sense of purpose. I find that is attractive, me personally. I won't speak for anyone else in this room. I find that to be attractive. So there's attraction on many levels. Like when I talk to someone who has a level of confidence, not that they're proud, but they're passionate about, their work or the service that they do or their family or their sick, aunt or brother, whatever they're passionate about, there's something attractive about that too. So again, attraction comes on many levels, and physical attraction is not everything, and it's definitely not enough to sustain a marriage or a family. What's more important, and what is the most important that really matters, and it's the only thing that lasts, is character. And I really couldn't find a good definition for character, but dictionary.com, I stole a few words. Moral or ethical quality, reputation. But the character is really who the person is.
Wait, I have a question.
Hold on one second. Yes.
How does reputation have anything to do with your character? Because you can simply have a bad reputation because people are mean. And that doesn't mean you're a bad person.
You're absolutely right. And I totally selectively chose a few words. So that's probably not a good representation. Thank you.
On the other hand,
Yes.
on the other hand, just as like, okay, it happens. It happens a lot, and people are quick to judge. I get it. But I just meet this chick for the first time. I don't know anything about her. All I have as of right now is her past, as it's been dictated to me, and that is her reputation. That's a series of her character, examples of her character in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that's where the system's messed up, but it's at the same time it's there. Everyone has a reputation, good or bad. It's what you've done until the point where I'm meeting you now. Am I gonna completely ignore everything I've heard? If it's like the best thing, am I gonna believe everything that's great? No. I'm not gonna believe everything either if it's horrible, but there are gonna be definitely biasing factors if I hear that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's definitely
Elements of truth to the. Okay.
it came from somewhere.
Okay, that's valid. Mariam, you had something? No, go ahead.
But maybe you would love the same person without knowing her past, and you just knew her. And after you know her past, you will just forget everything because you just knew what she right now how she changed.
You're saying if you can get to know the person on your own terms, you might be willing to look past the past.
Without knowing the past, and after you know the past, after he knew her, they knew her.
Mm-hmm.
People will just love him.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna take these 2 points and then we'll go on. Pavnoti and where'd Mina go?
So it's me.
Okay, and George.
Usually, like in the past, I used to just hear what people had to say and not really go to what they tell me. Like if they tell me watch out for like this person or something, I'll just hear like through one ear, let it out the other. But I notice when I do eventually talk to that person, whatever they tell me, it's like in my subconscious. You know what I mean? I'm always aware of what they told me, even though I try not to really listen to it. So reputation does play a big role on how you view a person, whether you listen to it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, if I'm trying to like just get to know someone and someone tells me something, like that, I don't want to hear it, not yet. You know, maybe later on, if I start feeling like, if I give my person that trust, and I feel like he's abusing it or just not really how I wanted it to be. I guess I'm being a little selfish there, but I don't know. I lost my thought. Forget it. I lost my thought.
Okay, George.
Sorry.
Someone said, what about someone who hears something bad about you?
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking if that person hears something bad about you and judges you, why would you wouldn't even want to be with that person because that already reflects on their personality.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you're missing out on anything.
Right. I hear what you're saying. So you're saying like if you heard something bad about me, you wouldn't want to consider yourself with me anyway, so why does it matter? I think part of what's coming up is what if some of what's being said is either not fully true, or what if there's value to who I am today that by not getting to know me, no one's giving me a chance. Everyone's seeing me through the lens of my past. This is a totally like other topic, and I didn't realize the word reputation was going to pull at it. So I don't want to get into it, but I guess in short, what I would say is if someone appeals to you enough that you really want to get to know them or be their friend, then if you pray about it and you still feel drawn to the person, you're going to get godly counsel from enough people, not one or two, but enough people who have, again, your best interest in mind. And then if you want to pursue getting to know the person on your terms, that's your choice. That's a risk you can take. That can get us into other conversations, which is like if you do end up committing to someone, should they, share everything with you about their past, or is it not? You guys had that conversation here before, so I'm not gonna get into that, okay? Okay. What's really, really important? Let's just fast forward. Let's agree that you are now friends with someone, okay? Identify someone. This is not just an acquaintance. This is someone you talk to them, pretty regularly. You see them pretty regularly. You get advice from them, on and off. This is someone. It's not just like, hey, what's up, handshake kind of a person. And let's just say you've been convinced that it's worth the risk. You're not totally attracted to them, maybe on a physical level, but there's some connection there that might be worth exploring. And now you're sort of like nervous because you realize you might be putting the friendship, at risk, and you don't know what the outcome is going to be. You don't know what people might say. Having another perspective is so critical, because what takes over when we become, involved with someone in a relationship? Our emotions, exactly. I think did I put it up here? Yes. We need to see clearly through our emotions, and the only way to do that is through another perspective. So I would say, every one of us needs to absolutely find not just that one, but I would say at least those two or those three lenses that are going to be honest reflections for us into, ourselves and the relationship we're in. One, they're going to give us honest feedback. Two, they're going to give us a reality check. We might be, moving forward in something that's not good ground to move forward, or maybe they're going to say, what have you been waiting for? This guy's been under, he's been under your nose for all this time, and you keep looking outside. Just having that different kind of reality check. Picturing the possibilities. Sometimes we are so stuck in a narrow tunnel vision of who it's going to be and where they're going to work and how they're going to look and what their family is going to look like. I mean, we have sometimes really unrealistic expectations that we become blindsided, and we miss out on opportunities. So someone who can offer that perspective, someone could help you be self-aware. Do you notice when you're with that girl, do you notice that you do this weird thing? Really, seriously, who's gonna tell you that? A friend, a real friend. So you need to have a godly friend who's gonna be watching you and giving you honest feedback, giving you insight, and also telling you about the character of that person. I don't know why you think he's so wonderful. Don't you see the way he keeps canceling on you last minute, or taking advantage of you because you can write his essays for college, or you need that perspective, regardless, whether it's a friend turning into a friendship or not. But that's what we're looking at. And also to help you set limits. It's totally not cool that you guys are out to dinner till midnight and sitting in the car till 1 o'clock talking. It's just someone needs to say that's not appropriate. It's not going to come from mommy and daddy after a certain point, so it needs to come from someone who you're going to hear. I need to have the humility to have that partnership with someone who's going to call me out. But that has to be a godly person who knows how to respect me and maintain my confidence, right? So that perspective is really important. We lost time?
No, I have a comment.
Oh, okay.
I actually was reading in a book on courtship. There's a great example of the kite. And it says that a love relationship can be like a kite. You feel like you're soaring in the sky, but a kite's not a kite without a string to hold it, because eventually you're going to float and fly all over the place, but you're going to eventually crash into the ground. So you need that healthy string to kind of keep you flying, but keep you level at the same time. And in my own personal experience, I found this to be invaluable in my own courtship. Just having, and then this isn't just open counsel where you're talking to a million people, and getting advice from here and from there, but really people who are godly, of godly character. being able to tell you, you know, where you are. You can't really see it when you're in it.
Mhm.
You need someone to be that third lens.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. Thank you. So these are two Latin words, carpe diem. What do they mean? Seize the day. What's the movie? Dead Poet Society? Seize the day. It says, the Bible says, the Lord said, I have come that you may have life and have it more abundantly. This verse I'm using to transition into, I want to invite every single person here who is not in a committed relationship to be willing and to be open to consider taking another look at a friendship that you have. If you have a friendship, if you are of marriage age, before I say all this and they're like, what are you doing? If you are of marriage age, okay, consider living your life fully. In other words, don't put so many restrictions like, oh my goodness, I can't talk to them because they're just my friend. This will never go anywhere. This will never happen. But live fully and live freely and picture the possibilities. Make new friends, okay? If your existing friendships don't seem like they have the possibility to go further into a relationship, don't lock yourself in. I am one of the first people who, could consider this. If you have a comfortable circle of friends, it's sometimes hard to imagine venturing out, but there's so many ways to make new friends. These are just a list of ideas, whether it's volunteering or going to an event or a party or starting up a service, participating in a retreat. And I'm going to say something about retreats. Okay, retreats get a bad rap. The only reason they get past the stigma is my advice. The guy in the book says something else. He says get past he talks about those Match.com thing. I personally don't really feel comfortable with those, but the whole stigma of retreats is a meat market, everyone wants to meet someone. I'm like, you know what? If we can all just get past that, it is a wonderful opportunity in a beautiful setting, surrounded by wonderful fellowship, to see people, talk to them, and interact. So all I can say about that is get over it, really, because it is a great opportunity. It's one of the few, and it's an unfortunate stigma that over the years people have said, oh, retreats are for meeting, finding your spouse. Maybe, and maybe not. Okay, so I think it's important to be willing to meet new people and make new friends. Otherwise, we limit ourselves, and then we get under this false idea of there's nobody out there. There's nobody out there. Well, you know what? There's nobody out there because you're not looking. You're not really opening your eyes, and you're not really open to all the possibilities. And I talk to people. One of my best friends from high school is this super beautiful, super athletic, super successful, super rich, super. And she's so single. And she is the pickiest person ever.
You got a number?
Follow sound.
We'll talk after. So yeah. So she is really incredibly picky, and to a fault, obviously. So I've told her that. So it's public.
Wait, Mora, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What do you think about? Because I heard it. Somebody said it back there. I don't want to say anybody's name, but what do you think about a woman's role in taking some kind of initiative in making friends with guys?
Oh.
Yeah.
I was gonna get to that, but I wasn't gonna get to it quite that directly. Let me just see if it's the next one. Can we? I'll get to it, okay?
Can you actually listen to? Why do you keep saying something?
Okay, what's the deal? We have 9 minutes. So mumble.
No, it's not you're not supposed to be going out there looking for people. It's supposed to just I'm not saying don't put yourself out there and don't attend any places and expect people to come to your house, but I'm saying don't purposely go looking for a man. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because then you'll end up with one of the conceited ones.
Okay, so no. I actually have something for the guy. I actually have a slide somewhere, and I'll get to it. Let me wrap this slideshow up so I can get to it. But I do want to say something about the man's role and the lady's role. So let me just fly through the rest of this. Meeting lots of people is a good thing. Okay, I pretty much said everything I want to say. Deepen your self-awareness, adjust your expectations, be diversified. Again, meeting people is not just about, I want to meet you so I can find someone to have a relationship with and get married. Meeting people that was the first slide. Every relationship in life is an opportunity for self-growth, self-awareness, and self-improvement. If we can just adjust the perception, forget the word dating. Let's talk about meeting people. If we can adjust the idea of the value of meeting people, believe me, we would all be a lot more open to being ourselves and just meeting people. Meet a lot of people. It's a good thing. Because the more people you meet, the more you understand what you want, what you don't want, what you can have, and what you can't have. Because that checklist that you have in your, it's not realistic. But you're not going to know that unless you start meeting and talking with people and seeing the limitations that really exist. Okay? No, I want to just fly because I feel like I'm losing time. I already said this. Worst case scenario, if you have a friend in mind, you're of marriage age, you decide I'm taking the risk, I'm going to pursue it, I think there's something more there, I feel it. Let's say it doesn't work out. The worst case scenario, they always tell you in counseling, what is the worst case scenario? The worst case scenario is you could lose a friend, and I put friend in quotes for a reason, and I'll get back to it. The awkwardness, obviously, that could result. And what people will say, like, oh, they used to be such good friends, look at them now, right? So, when I say lose a friend, I guess I'm going to say I am coming from the stance, and I do disagree with a couple of the folks in the beginning. I don't believe that at marriage age, a single guy and a single girl who are talking on a regular basis and opening up and having all those traits we talked about, connectedness and emotional support and mutual understanding and vulnerability and all of that, are really, really, really just going to be friends and just remain friends forever. At some point, you're either going to stay friends or, like Bishoy said, you're going to commit to someone else, and that person better not be a very good friend, or you're going to have problems in your marriage. So the worst case scenario is you lose a friend who's probably would have become a distant friend anyway, should you commit to the right person at the right time. That's my perception. This is a very controversial slide, and I realize that, and we could talk about it, but I really wanted to put the worst case scenario out there. And I'm finishing up. No, I'm not. I'm going to wait till the end, okay? Begin with yourself. This is really key. We are not here tonight to talk about, like, what does the perfect person look like? What are the steps to follow? The truth is, and I can speak this from my own experience, if you honestly want to have, like, a lifelong, sustained marriage that's going to be healthy and that's going to come about in a healthy way, you need to look at yourself. I need to look at myself first, okay? One, I need to feel complete. I'm not trying to fill something through a relationship. I'm running fast through these, so I'm sorry if I'm being...
10 minutes. We started 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. Abuna Michael's like he said 10 o'clock, so. Be satisfied, so don't try to find satisfaction in the relationship. Again, that's controversial. What do you mean? But that's a relationship. I should find satisfaction. No. You should be fully satisfied before you enter into a relationship. And you can quote me on this, if you are not satisfied with yourself and you're not satisfied with your life, you will not be the best possible spouse to your partner, to your husband or wife. If you have loneliness in your life, overcome the loneliness. Don't try to find someone to satisfy that loneliness. If you're a pretty miserable person and you think you're like totally like just like sad and pity yourself, find happiness. Discover happiness in your life. Because if you aren't a happy person, marriage is not what's going to make you happy. It's a myth. I think Abuna Michael spoke about that last week. It helps you to enhance your happiness and share your happiness, but not to discover it for the first time. There's a difference. So experience the fullness of life. Get rid of those romance novels and romance movies. Just throw them away, okay? They're just, they give you a false sense of reality. And here's the key thing. Invest time to resolve your own internal and external issues. If you have internal issues like pride, or you have issues with control, or perfectionism, or you have issues with your parents and you don't talk to them, or you have issues at work because you're chronically late like I am, or whatever it is, try to resolve those issues first so that you're presenting yourself as you have now accepted yourself in the best way to the person you're meeting. So you're offering them like the best of yourself as a complete and satisfied person. And get your priorities straight. I know this may sound cliche, but it's really, really true. If you really work on your spirit, if we each work on our spiritual life and we just grow in our love for the Lord day by day, and we seek Him, and we just, we really grow in love with God, it is very attractive. When people are spiritual and they just love the Lord, why? Because they see Jesus. How is Jesus not attractive? Of course He is. He's the most beautiful thing in the world. And then also, He gives us our confidence. He gives us the words to speak. He gives us remember I was saying, get involved and have a passion, have a desire, have a purpose in life. That's not going to come on my own. That's going to be motivated by the work of the Holy Spirit. So I need to seek first God in my life. How will I know? So there's only 2 more slides. How will I know when I find the right one? Or when I'm finding the right one? 1, the person will bring me closer to God, and we're going to experience God together. That's one sign. 2, the person is going to bring me, this is key, the person's actually going to bring me closer to other people and help me to grow relationally. This often doesn't happen. People tend to do what in relationships? Totally isolate. And there might be a season for that, but it's not healthy in the long term. So if this person is taking you away from your friends all the time, or taking you away from your family all the time, or whatever it might be, it's probably not the best sign. And then become more of yourself. They want you to be the best you can be. This is someone that brings out the best in you. That's another sign. And of course, they have all these virtues. Just for the sake of time, this person seems to be disciplined. They have humility. They're responsible. The list could go on. I just put a few, some samples up there. Those are some signs of how I know the person may be right. And this is the one, I think this is really the second to last. This goes back to what you said. Know your role. If you are the man in a relationship, it is biblically even, and socially, your role to pursue, to initiate. I will share with you personally that when Abuna and I were getting to know each other, it came to a point where I felt like I was always the one initiating the conversation about us. To the point that, and Abuna Antonius can vouch for it if it was here, we got to a point at a retreat, we had met at a retreat, of course he lived in another state at this time, and he came to this retreat, and I told Abuna Antonius, who's my father of confession, who, by the way, yeah, there it is. Make sure the person has a father of confession, and if they don't have one, make sure they get one. Okay? They have to be spiritually and emotionally healthy. I told Abuna Antonius on that retreat, I said, Abuna, I'm going to tell him about the fact that I'm getting really frustrated, feeling like I'm always the one initiating these conversations, and if it doesn't change, it's over. So I talked to Abuna at that retreat in November. And he did a total 180 or 360, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. And it really, he took my feedback and he totally did change. And that was really important for me because, you know what, as a woman, it feels totally weird and unnatural. And we want to be desired. We want to be pursued. We want to be, nurtured. That's just how we are. And to what you were saying over here, what's our role? Our role is to respond wisely. That means when a guy looks at you, if you think you could potentially be interested, don't do one of these. It's okay. And that was me growing up, and even probably I still do that with people now, weird, creepy, on the subway. But it's okay. It's okay to make eye contact. And you know what? It's okay to smile. And so for the woman, I would say, what's your role? Your role is to be Am I being bad?
Sorial? I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay. No, because it's really simple. It's really simple, but it's really doesn't happen often. Well, not just anyone. I'm saying if someone looks at you, and the first connection is gonna, right? I'm making a connection with you now, right? Okay, I'm doing it just by looking at you and it's just kind of blood. Okay, so it takes a moment for the flare. But if girls, I'll be honest, we kind of close the door really fast.
That's the problem, that we think it's ape, and that's a big problem.
Well, I would say
when you are at age, don't never think.
That's a different topic, guys. Age is a different topic, guys. Next week, next year.
That's why I say the woman should respond wisely. Wisely means you're not overly flirtatious, but you're also not being like this really hard to get. And again, I'll use myself as an example. Growing up, I was like the most closed off. Like, I was too busy for you, don't come near me, kind of like, and I, can still come across that way. But before, it was really, I had my things to do, and like, if you step in my path, like, there's no room for you. And so my mom actually got to a point where she would plant people. I went to St. Nina's in Homedale. That's right. And she would plant people in the church, knowing that I go from communion line to Sunday school to the service meeting. She would plant people in the path that I would have to cross, because she says, "Inti mish midaya nafsik fursa, so ana hagibhom lek," which means you're not giving yourself a chance, so I will bring them to you, because I was so closed off.
I heard. I have spies from the 17th.
Abuna, this is pre-us.
As if that's gonna fix things.
Well, don't look at anything. Let me ask you. Don't look at anything.
Oh yeah, of course.
What do you think is the appropriate response for a young lady who may be, interested in a relationship or interested in being
With
pursued?
someone specific.
Yeah, to someone specific. What could be a response? Like nonverbal.
She made my life rough for like 3 months.
Communion line?
I knew where the communion line was.
Can I see your lip?
I have no idea where you're going with this.
I'm so
She responds wisely. That's what she said.
Okay, so nonverbal reaction would not be the eyebrows; it would be a smile, with some eye contact.
That's what I
He smiled with his eyebrows.
Okay, all right. Maybe this is the second to last. I don't even know anymore. So there's There's God's role and there's my role. I feel this was an important slide too, because there's this idea of God. I'm following the course of my life in God's path, and God will bring the right person to me. So, therefore, I will wait, and I will pray, and I will wait, and I will pray, and I'll do the same thing I've been doing for the last 3 years, and somehow it's going to change the outcome. I'm going to still keep coming to church and praying the liturgy and coming to that one meeting every Friday night and going to my job during the week. I'm going to keep doing the same thing over and over again, but I'm going to get a different outcome. That's actually, for some people, the definition of insanity, right? It's not going to happen. There's not an internal magnet inside men and women. We were not created with a magnet. So God has a role, but we also have a role. And I wanted to use the example of Abraham, because some people say, like, oh man, can't I just have like a story like Isaac and Rebecca? Just like, look how beautiful, like how God just brought them together. God didn't actually just bring them together. Abraham sent like a troop out to like figure out who was going to marry his son. Okay, there was some effort put out there. The camels were out, the servants were out. There was some serious work going on to find that wife. And that's the role we need to take, is we need to be actively engaging in our spiritual life and also socially for that right relationship. And this really is the last one. When wisdom enters your heart and knowledge is pleasant to your soul, discretion will preserve you. Understanding will keep you to deliver you from the way of evil, from the man who speaks perverse things, which is also from Proverbs. So if we are seeking, like the other verse said, the will of God, He will give us discernment. He'll tell us that difference between, is this a friendship worth pursuing? Is this a person worth, smiling at? Even the subtleties. Like, if we are spiritually connected with the Lord, like, we will be moved by the Spirit of the Lord and how we interact with each other. So, glory be to God forever. Amen. I know we're over, but I know I cut some of you short. It's 10:10. We started 10 minutes late, so if you guys want, we could take a couple of questions if there are any. I whizzed through the end, but I felt like I needed to. You could totally, not embarrass me. Yes, Mariam.
You said something about them being religious and, them being with God and having a relationship with God, right? But if they're more spiritual than you, like wouldn't there have to be like a balance of your spirituality together? Like he can't be super spiritual and I'm not as spiritual because it's just gonna be, it's gonna be a conflict. We have to be somewhat on the same page. We can't be extreme opposites. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna look for someone who's not spiritual.
No, but who's not?
No, I mean, what are you getting at? Like, oh no, he's too spiritual, I need someone less spiritual.
No, but you can't be like a monk, and I'm not like that.
No, but I think to Mark's.
I'm just saying they can be like totally extreme because you're gonna either bring him down or he's gonna bring you up, and more likely you'll bring him down.
Okay, so 2 quick points, and I'll let you. One thing I really do want to say is be wary of. I don't like the word dating, but I'm only using it because I don't know what other word to use. Ministry dating, which basically is getting into a relationship because you think you're going to save the person. Okay? You just reminded me of that point. Because some people do get into that. They think that their act of service is, I'm going to get into this relationship with this person because I'm going to help them get more spiritual. Which I know is not your question, but I want to say it. The other thing is, I would ask what Mark said. What's the goal? What is the goal of your, what is the goal? Yeah.
I think what she wanted to say, but maybe better worded, is the person has to have the same goals as you. Spiritual goals, financial goals, just the same goals in life,
You're not
So
gonna
that-
find someone with the same exact, but they have to be within a certain range.
I think
You
it's
want
part
to be
of
the same end of the spectrum.
It's part of the compatibility.
Yeah, I can't be like running towards God, but the chick is running the other way, and it's gonna work out. Yeah, you're just saying we need to be in the same proximity. Is that
Yeah.
Makar?
Yeah, I wanted to say 2 things, Mariam. The first thing is, well, maybe this is just 2 things. Well, first thing is maybe it's a good opportunity to check your own self. Like this is one of the purposes of dating. That one of the things that's just as important as finding a spouse is learning about yourself and. Mariam, I'm responding to your question.
I'm shy.
Yeah. So it's just as important as finding a spouse is learning about yourself and what you like and what you don't like.
And she still loves me. You should have seen when we went skiing. That was a disaster. And she's still married.
And what areas of improvement I have, because maybe if I find that she likes to pray all the time and I can't even spell prayer, then I need to learn how to spell prayer. And the other thing is that it's very important. I think Mora you started asking this, which is what do you define as spiritual? Like is spiritual, and this is a very important thing. Is spiritual means that he goes to tasbihah every single Saturday? Like that's a big question. Or does it mean that maybe he goes to tasbihah every Saturday, period?
But spiritual is going to depend on you. It's
But
going
are you
to
I'm saying
according to your own definition?
Yeah, I'm saying that we not just spiritual, but how is spirituality lived out in the other person? The point is not better or worse, it's just compatibility. But at the same time being open to improving yourself. Because I think that's a big one that we miss, that I want somebody to fit this whole list and I'm going to be a static person, unchanging, not expecting anything new in my own life, but that person just has to meet the list. So.
And anyone who's going to desire the best if the 2 are really desiring the best from each other because they're friends, it's going to naturally evolve with the right person. Okay, and Joseph, and then I think we're done.
Yeah, on the same track what Mara was saying, I've heard one of the books, I guess it's Henry Cloud too, it says God takes 2 and makes into 1. That's what marriage is. But he doesn't take half of a life and half of a life and makes into 1, but he takes a whole person and a whole person and makes into 1. So working on yourself is very important, guys, like getting life straight and making spirituality, other stuff.
Yeah. That is like the perfect end. Thank you. 'Cause that is